So today's session is about ICP. It's something that you guys already have maybe learned and read so many times. But today we are going to talk about a slightly different process that we use at the execution lab. Before we start, I would love if you guys can write your current ICP in the chat. Don't need to polish it, refine it, just as you you have it now. ICP, ideal client profile. So this is who you help with in your business. So let's take a minute and let's do that. That's a great comment, Connor. So customer or client. So ICP can be ideal client or customer profile. What I heard so far is that client is more for long-term relationships. So for example, a client of mine for marketing or software development. A customer is someone that buys you something once, like if you sell, I don't know, sticky notes or something like that. I can be totally wrong, but that's what I heard. Okay, so great that you guys did that. So when the ICP is not very well defined, usually we get one of these signals, right? So the first signal is people don't get what we do or what we sell, so we have to over explain it. We pitch them and they are like, that's nice, that's really cool, but they didn't get it, right? We can tell that. So that's the first signal that the ICP, our target customer or client, is not very well defined. The second signal is that you are constantly changed your LinkedIn headline, your bios everywhere. So that needs a lot of work. It doesn't really touch a nerve. You read it and it doesn't really feel powerful, stuff like that, right? So you are all the time trying to find the words that make your, again, headline powerful. The third signal is actually kind of my test with a lot of founders, which is name 3 people in your network that could be a perfect fit for your product. And with that, I mean that they can buy it right now. Not people that say, okay, yes, that's a great product, maybe sometime I could use it, but really 3 people in your network that they need your product right now. And if you were so unknowingly pushy, they would buy it, right? If they don't, it's because they may have the reasons, but that they do need the product, right? These are the 3 people that I know need my product right now. Related to that is the fourth point, which is if I asked you to reach out to 20 people today, and not just reach out, but really offer them your product, you wouldn't know where to start. You wouldn't know where to find them, because if you don't really know who they are, exactly who they are, it's very hard to understand where to find them. And the last signal is that we use different wordings, different words to explain the problem, to explain the situation they are in. We use different words. So maybe we fine-tune our ICP with Claude, ChatGPT, and we find those very specific words that really articulate our business model, business idea, but they use different words, so we can't really connect with them, right? So we had a very interesting story a few weeks ago from a founder that was targeting burnout people, and they were burnout, but they didn't use those words. They used "I'm stressed," "I'm overwhelmed," those kind of words, right? They didn't use burnout. She did. The moment she changed that, everything changed for good, of course, right? So that is, really understanding who our target audience is. So this is kind of, the small signals that we get when our ICP isn't well defined. And if you feel that any of these points resonated with you, then the rest of the content is for you, and I'm happy about that. So our framework that we use at the Execution Lab is very simple. You can read about ICP in so many books. Like really, this is a topic that has been talked and shared by so many companies, creators, influencers, books. And they are all very good. I mean, you can even, create these amazing customer personas with, pains, dreams, outcomes, values, whatever. There is a beautiful one called, oh, I forgot, but it's a canvas. So, it's graphic, it's beautiful. I use them. I wouldn't say all, but I used a lot of them. And really what happens is that I can't remember them. So I tend to use probably Enosh. It's something within the lean startup movement. But yeah, so the problem is that I can't remember these complex frameworks. So I end up using something, way more simpler. And this is the same, and I apply the same to all the frameworks and tools that we use at the Execution Lab, because, again, I believe that the simpler something is, the more powerful it becomes, because you can actually use it. I have done and paid for very expensive workshops to define ICPs, and those documents end up in a Google Drive that I don't ever go back to. So that's why I like simple things. And our definition is very simple, is just persona plus situation, as simple as that. What I mean by this, persona, the blue thing here, is whatever you can say. Yes, absolutely, Connor. So whatever you can say to describe a person, right? So I share something with you. I share, this is a person that I'm targeting, and you say, okay, yeah, I get it, right? I exactly get what you mean. We don't need to be super technical here, but this is who they are, where they live, I don't know, role, identity, goals, whatever that is actually relevant for your business. I don't care if they are 25 to 35. Maybe that's not relevant for your business, right? But maybe you care about what their role at the company is. And then the situation is whatever situation they are in that they want to get out of, because that's actually what really matters to you. So the situation is giving you the information you need to actually talk about emotions. When you can describe a situation, the next thing you can do is describe the emotions they feel because of that situation. So you are, I don't know, in the desert, so you are thirsty, you are lost, your feet are burning, you want to get to your home, you miss the AC, right? So you can talk about all the emotions that they feel on that situation. So the situation is very powerful, and what we are looking for here is a good balance between persona and situation. So if the situation is something like I'm lost in the desert, then you don't really care if that person is 25, male, female, or works or not, because that person is lost in the desert and they are about to die, so they need the water, right? So the situation is very strong. So persona can be a little bit, more generic, less specific. But if the situation is not very strong, then you do need to be more specific in the persona. In general, you want a good balance between the two. I'm gonna answer all of you guys' questions in the last 15 minutes. So if you guys have any questions, please write them in the chat and I'll make sure to answer as many of them as I can. So again, this situation about the desert, you have a guy lost in the desert. He is completely lost. He doesn't know where he is and he's dying. He's thirsty. We can't really survive a lot of time without water. So the good thing about this framework is that by really understanding the person and the situation they are in, then our outcome, the solution that we offer is obvious, right? So this guy wants to get home. This guy needs water to get, to walk the 2 extra kilometers he has to walk to get home, right? So when we really nail the persona and situation components, the outcome becomes obvious. And not only that, but now whatever we do is not relevant, right? It doesn't matter if we are bookkeepers, lawyers, consultants, or if we are really experts on what we do. What really matters is that we can get them out of that situation. So now we can charge by the value we deliver, which is getting them out of that situation. In this super exaggerated example, this guy is lost in the desert. He misses his family. His feet are burning. So he doesn't really care about, our how we get water to the desert. He doesn't really care about our super sophisticated distribution channel to get water in the middle of the desert. He just wants that bottle of water. But not only that, he is willing to pay anything. We can ask for his house's keys if we want it. I mean, we wouldn't do that, but you know what I mean. We can now charge by the outcome we deliver, not by the $2 that bottle of water cost, right? So persona plus situation, that's the core of our business. A few, bad and good examples. Everyone, believe me or not, that's a real answer someone gave me a few weeks ago. I had a meeting with the founder. She was very good at what she did. She had clients, she had a business, she was almost making a full-time income. And I asked her, okay, who do you serve? And she said, everyone with a problem. And I was like, okay, that's the entire world, basically, right? So ICPs that may need a little bit of work, everyone, small business owners, tech entrepreneurs in general, busy professionals. Who is not a busy professional? If you are a professional, you are busy, I guess. Anyone with a website, stuff like that. Good ICPs, first-time moms. So blue, we have the persona, and green, we have the situation, 0 to 6 months postpartum. So now we are talking to a real woman going through a real situation that we can describe, that we can explain, that we can connect with. Solo dentist running a 5 to 8 person practice, opening a second location this year. So we can already imagine this guy trying to balance his time between the two locations. We can already understand the problems he has, or maybe she, um, and we know the outcome that he wants. We can kind of, already understand that he wants to open the second location, and of course he wants to keep both locations profitable, and this and that. We can, once we really understand this, we can understand the other side, and so on. I won't read them all, but you guys uh, get where I'm going. So a good ICP talks about a person going through a specific situation that we can help them with, right? So with what you know so far, I would love to challenge you guys to rewrite your ICP using this framework. And again, don't need to be perfect, don't need to, be super technical. Just, if you can rewrite any parts of it, that'd be amazing. I'll have some water in the middle. Yeah, I love this. So one tip that I will share with you guys, none of you did it, so this is great. In the very basic forms of your offer that I'm gonna explain a little bit more in the next slides, you don't want to talk about your company's name. Nobody really cares about that, right? So what they care is that you can talk to them and really explain the situation they're going through. They don't care about you. They don't care about all your credentials, your company's name. That's, that's for other parts of your marketing and your strategy. But when you are really trying to connect with someone, you just need to talk about them and the situation they're in. Once you connect at that level and really touch a nerve, then everything else becomes, downhill. So once we have an ICP, already shared a few things about this, but you touch a nerve. I think that's the most important part of it. You touch a nerve. The moment you mention an emotion they feel, they are like, oh my God, this guy understands me, right? And they will open up. It's amazing. But if you guys, saw my content, saw what I talk about, you know that, I really like to understand human beings and how human relationships work. And the moment you connect with a person on an emotional level, something clicks, something magic happens, and your offer can suck. And that person is going to continue to listen to you until your offer doesn't suck. It's amazing. But the moment you touch the nerve, everything else becomes so much easier. The second thing that happens is that, again, the outcome names itself. So if you are lost in the desert and you are thirsty, you are lost, you want to get home, then we can start naming the outcomes almost right away. I can give you water, I can give you a compass, I can give you a ride. Even more, we can start visualizing the different solutions at the different price point. I can give you water at 250 because my distribution channel is expensive. So $250 for a bottle of water. You want to ride home on a chopper? that's a premium, rescue option. Sure, that's 20K, right? So I can already start thinking and visualizing the outcomes. And something very interesting happens, which is they too can visualize the outcome, because this is a conversation. So you are talking, they are listening, and when they are talking, you are listening. So this is a co-creation. When you guys talk about the same situation, you are co-creating the outcome. So the moment you say the words chopper, water, they know what you are talking about, and they can already start imagining the pricing. And actually, that's the third point. Your pricing becomes obvious. It's not about you, your expertise, your years of experience, your process, or I don't know, whatever. It's about them pricing, uh, the transition of them getting out of that situation. So sometimes they can even push for a pricing. I had people saying, what you charge is too little, because I'm here and I want to be here. So I fear that I feel that this is not really fair, because this change in my life has been bigger than whatever I paid, right? And then I increased my prices. Uh no, I didn't yet. But the thing is that when you name the outcome and you really have them imagining this possible future, they are willing to pay. And of course, if you have a track record of you getting people out of the desert, they are going to pay you, right? So pricing is not about you being a great bookkeeper, is not you being a great whatever, is them getting out of the situation. It's all about them. It's not about you, about your ego, about your beautiful trademark company's name. Is about them getting out of the situation. And that's actually the fourth thing that the ICP unlocks. You stop talking about you. And that is something that we all need to do a little bit more. It's not about us. It's not about who I am, is who I help and what I help them with. It's not I am a bookkeeper. It's not I am a business coach. All of that doesn't matter. What matters is that I can get people out of a situation they want to get out of. So, and using this very simple and yet powerful framework, we just build the foundation for our offer. And so we have the persona, the client that or the customer that we are targeting, the person that we are targeting, and the situation they are in. So with that, I have the who I help. And then what I help them with, that is the outcome. The outcome can be obvious, but of course I have to work on that. And I have work on that means that I have to talk to potential clients, offer them an outcome at a pricing, see what they say, and refine. But at least, just by thinking about the situation, I have a pretty close outcome to what they need. So my assumption is already better than what my initial product idea was. Now I'm talking about the real person going through a real situation, looking for an outcome that I can deliver. So that becomes the seed offer. Our seed offer is a living thing, similar to ideas. The problem with ideas is that they only exist in our brains. And, we think about our business 2 years in the future, everything working. We've imagined how we can scale that internationally, 100-person team. That's an idea. it's very unrealistic. A seed offer is something very small that needs to be put in the soil to grow. It needs to be exposed to the market to grow. And a seed is very few words with this exact structure. So I help audience, that is my persona in this situation, achieve outcome. So I help people lost in the desert, thirsty, getting home, right? Or getting the 2 extra miles or um, whatever, right? So now this is the foundational stone of my business. Everything else, my wording on LinkedIn, my brochures, the different products that I offer, even they all start with this very small piece of information. But this is a very dense and powerful piece of information, right? This is my seed. And as I can offer different products, my ICP, remember ICP is persona plus situation, can be very generic for my company, for my business, and then I can have different ICPs for my different products. So coming back to the person in the desert, if my persona is an executive or a wealthy person, then my product would be a chopper ride, right, or a premium ride. So that product is, I don't know, $20,000. But then I have a younger person, not super wealthy. They just want to walk a little bit longer. So I just give them some, I don't know, Tylenol and water, whatever, right? And that's, I don't know, $200. So the thing is that my ICP for my company is a little bit more broad and generic because I target everyone in the desert. But then for my different products, I have more refined ICPs. So with that, I come back to the process that we follow at the lab. And so again, we start with the ICP, which is persona plus situation, that gives us the who. And believe me, this is not something easy. We spend weeks going back and forth to really find a person that feels the pain in that situation strong enough to pay us for something. Then when we add the outcome, we just get the seed offer that has this shape. I help persona in this situation achieve an outcome. And then we need actually products to offer people. We can't really offer this because the seed offer doesn't have any pricing. It doesn't have any delivery model. It's not something people can buy. What can they buy? They can buy our offers, products, services, whatever that we give them in exchange of money. And for that, yeah, no worry, Hannah. Thank you for coming. See you later. Great. So for that, we use our offers, offer levers. We have, I think they are 17, but basically, the different things that you can play with using your initial seed offer to come up with products that you can put in front of them. Okay, so for now, you don't need to learn to know all of this. Just work on the ICP, make sure that the persona and situation are very strong. It's all about them, all about the pain they feel, the emotions they feel, and then add the outcome. This is the outcome that I can deliver. This is how I get them out of the situation they are. The offer levers, this is something you can work in your own. I can send you our content, but pretty much is what can I change in my um, product, so that I can offer not only one but multiple products, multiple solutions, multiple ways of getting them out of the desert. And with that, I'm gonna close my my presentation. If you guys want to work on that, we do that in the Income First Fundamentals program. We go from ICP all the way to execution systems through channels, offer everything. We only have 4 seats left for August, for the August cohort. Our next cohort is going to be in October. So if you really guys want to work on this, make sure to check that out. And if you are not ready or just want to chat a little bit with me, that's a 15-minute free session that you can schedule with me. And with that, I'm going to open this up to questions. Let me see if I have any in the chat. Also, you guys can unmute yourself and just ask it. Okay, so Hannah here asked a question about outcomes that we cannot guarantee. And she gave an example of immigration decisions that are out of anyone's control, right? This is great. This is a great question. So we cannot and we should not promise something that we cannot deliver. We have to be super upfront about this. The good thing is that if our ICP is strong and we can really connect with the person and the emotions they are feeling, then again, they will trust us. Something will happen in that human relationship, right? That relationship will be stronger after we connect at that level with that person. And so the solution is not, I would say is maybe 40% of what the deal has been building up for. So we don't really need to offer something we can't deliver, as long as we can deliver something that takes the person out of or close to be out of that situation. So in Hannah's question, for example, if she wants to, offer immigration pathways, let's say into Canada, of course, that is not something we can guarantee because that's an IRCC decision, but we can put the person closer to achieving that. So I can do all the process for you. I can help you find a place to move within Canada. People, I don't know, when I moved to Canada, I didn't know how cold it was in Calgary, even though it's just next to Vancouver. So, we can give them all the information they need. We can really put them closer to achieving the outcome they need. Sometimes, no, we can't promise to help them get out of the situation, but we can help them with getting closer or not feel the pain so much. So yeah, Enosh.
Yes, so I got a question.
Sure.
What if you're providing more value to the ICP than they need that they actually want? So for example, the water example,
Yeah.
if the water that you're providing anyway has, let's say, minerals, vitamins, and protein, let's say hypothetically,
Yeah.
it has all of it included. It's just that if you start telling that, it kind of gets complicated and you don't want to confuse your ICP, but it's anyway part of the product or service. What do you do in a situation like that?
And why would be what? Sorry. what would you be offering this kind of water rather than regular water?
Are you asking why would I be offering this water?
Yes.
Because I think overall the product or service is going to be much more better. So the outcome is much more, they could see it visibly. They could see that the outcome is way better than anybody else who can provide it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And that is actually what the startup ecosystem is built upon. You started your answer with I think. And that is exactly how every startup entrepreneur start their pitch. I think project managers are busy and can use this tool to be more productive. I think that, water with these minerals could be a better solution. But again, it's not about you or what about you think or even about your product. It's what they want and what they pay for and what they appreciate. So you can offer something different to them and see what happens, right? Actually, we have Steve Jobs' example. He didn't ask the market about iPhones. He just released the iPhone and it was a wild success, right? But again, that's a risk that you play with. You want to take the chance and the expensive cost of getting Gatorade in the desert because you believe that that's a better solution than water. You can. Will people appreciate and pay for that? That's a totally different answer. So we want demand to pull the product from us. We don't want to push products into a market that doesn't want the product. And again, that's the number one mistake of a lot of startups. They want to push a very cool and smart product into a market that doesn't care about that product. So it's all about a conversation. So we first give them some water. We ask them, hey, do you want maybe electrolytes in that water? Yes. Okay, so here's another option. Oh, okay, but that's too expensive. Well, okay, right? So it's a conversation. So it's not really about what you think or about how cool your solution is. It's really about what people pay for and what they appreciate. Nice.
Thank you, Abel.
Sure. Yeah.
We have a question on the chat, I think, from Connor.
Last message was a comment, not a question. Is that what
No,
you mean?
the question was it showed up
sorry.
a little earlier. So basically my question to you or really to anyone just to think about is as your business is growing, how often are you requalifying your ICP?
Yeah. Oh, that's an amazing question. All the time. And I have an example for this. So one of the founders that is working at the lab, he's actually he's been building his business in a very smart way. And he spent, I would say, many hours talking to his clients. And he refined his ICP many times at the point where I said, that's perfect. I don't have any comments. I think that looks amazing. He had a list of pain points. It was perfect. And then he was talking with a different client. They were about to close a deal. And the client said something like, you know what? This problem is not a technical problem. It's a cultural problem. He was like, oh, what do you mean about that? And he started explaining the problem from a whole different perspective, right? And this founder was like, oh my God, that's a whole new set of insights that I didn't have. So of course, he came back to the ICP, he came back to the pitch deck, he came back to the product. So this is something that, we do all the time. We are human beings. We change all the time. Our context changes all the time. So the situation changes. the pain they feel changes. The products and companies targeting the same person in the same situation change as well. So we need our ICP to be evolving all the time. And the good thing is that if we build our ICP and our products starting from the ICP in kind of layers, so every time our ICP changes and improves, everything else improves by, consequence.
Amazing.
Yeah. Great question, Connor. Thank you. Yes, Marcela, if you don't change, you get stuck. Products have to be always evolving. I want to make sure that I don't miss any questions in the chat. Sorry if I take a little bit here. These were amazing questions. You guys are so sharp. We should change spots. Yeah, these ICPs are really good, guys. Okay, so if there's no any other questions, I'll let you guys go. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. And yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for all your questions, and I hope you have a great week. See you guys.